All right, friends, welcome back to another Beyond the Map's Edge Brainbender. Today we're talking about the state solve. You know, that magical point where everyone swears they've cracked the code, and yet somehow half of us are pointing to Wyoming, the other half to Idaho, and at least one guy swears it's Alaska. Now, I found one myself that points to Wyoming, but is that just a coincidence? Kind of like how the cover letters spell Idaho straight up the middle. Both can't be true, unless Justin's playing 4D chess with our sanity. Okay, there are so many clue topics we could cover here. Squirrel. But let me try to stay focused on the state solve and why there are so many different theories floating around. I think most of us ruled out a bunch of states early on, maybe after a single page turn, and then just dove headfirst into the state we liked best. You know, like picking your favorite pie at Thanksgiving. So here's what I found on my own before I fell down the online rabbit hole. I almost got distracted by the weight clue again and went for a pint at lunch. But no, I stayed strong. Let's do this. Turn to the labeled map in the book, page 203. Write out all of the state capitals. Yes, all of them. Get a pen, write them down, and then organize them in alphabetical order, like Justin would organize his fridge. I talked about this way back in the May 19th members video. The hidden state, not all who wander are lost. That's where I first found one big nod to Wyoming. Now, combine that with Justin's launching point. 9-mile hole. Safe numbers are 51, 43, 26, 1, and 10. The only one up for debate is 53 since it's at an angle. And honestly, 11 could be argued as 10.5. I guess Justin likes to keep the decimal points just to mess with us. There was also that big map of Yellowstone on the wall. I'm not sure if Heart Lake is the key, but I think the safe combo numbers were intentional. To me, it's screaming, Yellowstone plays a role in this hunt. When Justin wrote in the acknowledgments, finally to Forrest Fenn, whose treasure chest started as my destination but became my launching point. I think we're supposed to read between the lines. Yellowstone isn't the end. It's the starting point. Now, some hunters say the safe combination leads directly to 9-mile hole. Either way, the launching point feels planted in Wyoming. Here's where it gets fun. Many online researchers can't even agree on the place or the numbers. One person swears it's 53, not 51. Another says the screenshot of the safe was so fast we're all guessing. Some think it's west of Yellowstone. Coordinates that, when converted to degrees, minutes, seconds, drop you into a location loaded with recognizable spots if you've read the book. But here's where my brain really went sideways. I got this crazy anagram that came out to a stag, and then in the garage scene, 3 containers with a logo. That logo? For Frontrunner, a brand that makes off-road and overlanding gear. The logo has an outline of a leaping antelope, 3 boxes, all labeled kitchen. So now we've got different size boxes, the antelope, and the phrase front runner. While chasing my stag clue, I stumbled onto something wild. There's actually an antelope stag beetle. So now I'm over here wondering if I'm looking for a leaping antelope, a beetle, or the front runner in some kind of race. Marathon is mentioned in the book, so maybe the Golden Greek clue is front runner, and the runner hint ties back into racing and runner. For me, this goes back to the quarter-mile quarter-horse racing. Building off the idea of double letters in the chapter titles, I zeroed in on 5 chapters tied to A, F, H, J, O, noting that these chapters are unique, showing up only once, no repeats. I pulled the page numbers from each of those chapters and then went a step deeper. I grabbed the very first starting letter on each page. What did the book give me? G, A, T, S. From that, I got a stag. Stag firearms in Wyoming? Probably a coincidence. The Sag River in Alaska? Cool, but highly unlikely the treasure's up there. So what else points to Wyoming? So first, the elephant in the room, or should I say the antelope in the front runner logo. The official terms and conditions for this hunt specifically say the claim to the treasure is under Wyoming jurisdiction. That's pretty on the nose. Does that mean it has to be in Wyoming? Or is Justin just dangling a shiny distraction in front of us like a trout on Grandpa Fitzwater's line? One of the theories I love, and yes, I went down this rabbit hole hard, is Independence Rock. It fits the double arcs on granite bold stanza like it was written for it. Tie that into the time-swift race line, and suddenly we're knee-deep in Oregon Trail history. And you know me, if we're talking Oregon Trail, I've already died of dysentery twice before breakfast. Next up, Yellowstone. Historically, it was called Wonderland, which makes those Alice in Wonderland references suddenly feel a lot less random. And that last line of the poem, "What you seek, you already know." That's basically Justin saying, hey, remember Fenn's original treasure? Start there. Some think it could be the Tetons instead. And here's where it gets oddly specific. There's a theory involving Grizzly 399, the famous mama bear from Grand Teton. Grizzly 399 was a grizzly bear living in Grand Teton National Park and Bridger Teton National Forest in Wyoming, United States. She was followed by as many as 40 wildlife photographers, and millions of tourists came to the greater Yellowstone ecosystem to see her and other grizzly bears. Called one of the best-known bears in the world, the 28-year-old grizzly garnered dedicated Instagram fan pages, lines of merch, and crowds of followers who would camp out at Yellowstone and Grand Teton National Parks just to catch a glimpse of her and her cubs. She was an icon in her own right. She became the oldest known grizzly to reproduce in the greater Yellowstone ecosystem. Number 399, however, was conflict-prone, often venturing into Jackson and causing trouble there. Although she and her cubs once broke into a chicken coop, and she and her cubs also once ate bags of molasses in rich grain left outside of someone's home, the people still loved her. In 2021, land managers hired a group of bear biologists, including Wes Larson, now a host of Tooth and Claw podcast, to help mitigate conflict with 399. They would track her behavior, and if she crept toward Jackson, they'd sometimes haze her to stay close to the park, where she already had plenty of food. Unfortunately, Bear 399 was struck by a car and killed. Larson says drivers in bear country should always drive the speed limit or below and turn their brights on at night. Sure, you might get to your destination a little bit later than you would otherwise, but your chances of hitting a bear go down significantly when you follow those precautions. The upside, you won't total your car or have to live with the guilt of hurting or killing an animal. The car that hit number 399 was totaled and had to be towed away. Snake River Canyon, a canyon 40 miles south of Grand Teton, where number 399 died, is particularly dark at night. The clue line, "His bride stands guard at ancient gates," could be a metaphor. The gates being heaven after she passed away in Snake River Canyon. Following the "past the hole" clue, Jackson Hole, you'd end up at Grand Teton, returning to her home to find the place. I'll be honest, that one's a stretch. Then there's the chatter that someone got an email from Justin saying the pictured location was wrong and that the real spot is in Wyoming. And if we're talking Wyoming, the Wind River Range just keeps showing up. The Cirque of the Towers hike outline even kind of sort of matches the Beyond the Map's Edge cover art. Only problem? There's just one road to the trailhead and not much else matching the poem. Still, I can't ignore that just beyond this map's edge could literally be just beyond. Now here's a fun bit of data nerding. In the entire book, Wyoming is mentioned 5 times. Compare that to Arizona, 8, New Mexico, 13, and Montana, 25. That's why some folks rule it out entirely. They say it'd be too unoriginal for Justin to re-hide much of Fenn's treasure in the same state. And honestly, I get it. It's like re-gifting a fruitcake to the person you got it from. But here's the thing. Even if Wyoming's not the final resting place, there are way too many nods, winks, and breadcrumbs here to just ignore. So, is Wyoming our endgame, or just the launch pad? Is it the treasure's backyard, or is it the world's most elaborate red herring? And here's where Wyoming gets even sneakier. It was the 44th state admitted to the Union on July 10, 1890. Now tell me, how many times have we seen 4s pop up in Beyond the Map's Edge? And over in Golden Greed, Justin said there were 5 clues. Now let's talk flags. The Wyoming flag is basically a treasure map for color theorists. Outer border of red, inner border of white, big field of blue. And in the center, A giant white bison with the state seal on its shoulder. Now, in the treasure photo across from the poem, that buffalo looks really large. And Justin? Always wearing a blue shirt and driving a red car. Just saying, that's a walking Wyoming flag right there. Of course, devil's advocate. Montana's flag is also blue, so maybe he's just a blue shirt kind of guy. But if you start seeing buffalo-sized hints everywhere in this book, don't say I didn't warn you. But that, my friends, is just part one of our state deep dive. If I keep going today, this coffee is going to wear off before I finish. So, next time, we'll keep peeling the layers off this onion, or antelope, or whatever Justin's got us chasing this week.